Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. And today I want to talk about the WatchUSeek.com website, and specifically their forums. I've mentioned them in passing in other videos, but something happened that I think I need to address more directly. First of all, I'm hoping that most of you have already heard of this WatchUSeek.com website and its forums, because there are over 538,000 users, active members of this the forums here, and over 22.8 million posts since the year 2005. So a very active place, and if you're interested in watches, I'd be surprised if you haven't heard of this place yet online. An online community where you can find lots of other people who probably have very specific interests similar to yours. If you're into a certain brand of watch, you're looking to buy or sell or trade watches, this is the place to go. I tend to focus more on Casio watches, including G-Shock and Oceanus watches and Edifice watches. But if you're into any other brands, check it out if you haven't checked it out already. Now, I'm not an active participant in the forums here at WatchUSeek.com, but I do look at the website at least a couple of times a month. And if there happens to be some discussion going on that is of interest to me and seems to be very active, I might check back every day for a few days until that subject, that particular discussion kind of, winds down a little bit. But otherwise, yeah, it's only a couple of times a month for me. It's nothing against this website or the people that are participating in the discussions there. It has more to do with a different online forum that I was heavily involved with a long time ago, like 25 years ago. And ultimately that kind of didn't work out right. So I've just been a little cautious about getting into online forums all that much, but it is a great resource for me to every now and then check out, hey, what's going on? Especially they've got one kind of ongoing discussion thread here of if someone finds a good deal, a sale, or just some good deal on Casio watches, they'll maybe post a link there. And that's how I got my Casio fitness watch, just as a kind of a Black Friday special for half price, because someone put a little notice on the little special sale price discussion, and I noticed that, and I went off and I bought the watch. So there are a lot of great things on there. Even if you don't want to be an active participant, I would definitely tell you to check it out. Now, the reason I want to go a little bit more in depth talking about that website today is that a few weeks ago, just earlier last month, there was a discussion, and the title of this particular discussion was, "Who is Greg Anderson?" And of course, it's going to sound arrogant, but I figured maybe they were referring to me. So I read on with interest, and maybe you've already seen this, but let's read this together, and I can react to some of what they have to say here, because Dan West started the discussion. He says, "This guy probably knows more about G-Shocks than anyone at Casio. I've seen his videos for a while, but they're good. Seems like a nice guy too, with a very professional presentation, and his collection is off the chart. Anyone know how many he has? I wonder if Casio has noticed his presence. He's quite the ambassador for them." Well, that's very kind of you, Dan. I don't know that I know all that much about Casio watches. I know a lot about my Casio watches. I don't think Casio as a company pays much attention to what I do on YouTube. I try to be professional. I have a large collection. You ask, anyone know how many he has, or how many watches? And actually, I don't even know right now. I've been doing some rearranging and cleaning and messing up and trying to clean again parts of my home here in my little home office. And so the watches have kind of been scattered around a little bit. And so it's been a while since I actually gathered them all together to do a new official count of all of them. I'm going to say it's running around 160 right now. I don't know. I'll try to give you an exact number coming soon, but that's just kind of funny that yeah, I don't even know for sure. All right, let's follow on, because then there were some follow-up follow-ups here, as people were saying. Somebody says, that's a cheeky one, Origin. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what that meant. Someone says, Greg, is that you? No, it wasn't me responding to this at all. Someone else says, Greg Anderson makes some fantastic YouTube videos and he owns almost 200 Casio watches. Yeah, it's true. He mainly does G-Shocks, but he also does the low-end Casio digitals and even some nicer edifice watches as well. That's true. He really knows his stuff about Casio watches, and his style is very likable, understandable, and I should think, and I think he should have over 100,000 subscribers the way he makes his videos. I believe he was in the broadcasting business at some point as well, maybe still is. I'm a big Greg Anderson fan, in case you didn't know, haha. I'd take him over that other, well, anyway, I appreciate, if you are comparing me to someone and you think you prefer what I do over someone else, that's fine. I've decided that as far as if I were going to, start some sort of rivalry with other people who have watch-related YouTube channels, or people who say a lot about Casio on their watch-related YouTube channels, I have no interest in, comparing myself to other people who may or may not be more successful at it than I am in terms of subscribers. I think it would be great to have 100,000 subscribers. I'd get that nice little plaque. But I actually work at a place that has that plaque for their company YouTube channel, and it just, everyone walks by it, it's nobody really pays that much attention to the official 100,000 subscriber YouTube plaque. Maybe I'll take a picture of it and put that in a future video. But I don't have 100,000 subscribers. I do have over 30,000 now. It's taken me a long time to get 30,000 subscribers, and I don't go out of my way to try to get subscribers. Typically, while I'm making a video, it does not cross my mind at all to ask people to like my video or to subscribe to my channel. It just doesn't enter my mind, so I forget to say that. I don't know if that would help. Obviously, if you're here, maybe you're already a subscriber. The only thing about getting more subscribers to me is, maybe I get the plaque and I have some bragging rights and I could share that with you. But right now, it's just not my style to have a really flashy YouTube channel, or to, like play a character as I'm doing this stuff. The thing that has motivated my YouTube channel from the very beginning is I wanted to answer the questions that I would have had before buying a watch. So I know I get a little long-winded sometime. I go into a lot of details that some people might think I don't need to know this. But again, I'm just trying to be very thorough, because before I bought this watch or this watch, I might have been thinking, tell me everything I could possibly want to know about it. And that's kind of my approach. So I don't use a lot of music in my YouTube videos, because then YouTube has, these ways of identifying music and saying, I think this is copyrighted material. And I say, well, I actually purchased a license to use that music, and then YouTube straightens it out. But I get tired of having to explain myself every time I put a piece of music in a video, even if I did have the right to use that music. So yeah, I find it easier to just no music. I don't have a theme song for this channel. I don't have a long introduction. I have this little thing that I say almost at the beginning of every video, but I kind of want to just get right into it, So I have this brief introduction that kind of keeps it consistent, and then I want to get right into it, because as a viewer, that's what I want to see. So I'm helping you to see what you want to see. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate the support. And anyone who has a successful YouTube channel, my hat is off. I have some success. I'm happy with what I've achieved so far. It'd be great if I had double the action on my channel, and then maybe I could buy more watches because YouTube would pay me. But at the moment, I'm okay. And if anyone else has a successful YouTube channel, that's fine. If you like it or you don't like it, what I do, what they do, that's fine. I don't really have enough time to worry about what other people are doing. Sometimes I don't even have enough time to do what I'm doing. And I miss making videos for and interacting with viewers. So, you know, anyway. The next comment, someone says, he drives a truck hauling fracking fluid up around the U.S.-Canadian border. I'll tell him you asked about him. He'll be thrilled. Which gets down to the fact that, yes, Greg Anderson is my real name. It's a very common name, and there are lots of Greg Andersons out there. And I'm not the most famous one. Every now and then, just to see, you know, just to kind of entertain myself, I might look at it and see, well, who else is named Greg Anderson that's out there in the world? And it doesn't sound like this guy who drives the truck on the U.S.-Canadian border is famous for, you know, beyond this guy knows him. There are other people in Utah where I live that, you know, they run businesses, or they're doctors, or they're professors, or whatever. And then, you know, across the country, got lots of guys. Internationally, there's like a singing cowboy in Australia. I found a guy who was posting videos. He's a police officer somewhere on the West Coast, I think, who says what would be considered probably problematic conservative things on his YouTube channel. And he's Greg Anderson. A long time ago, in the late 1990s, there was a baseball steroid scandal. And one of the guys who was perhaps providing steroids to baseball players in the Major League Baseball was named Greg Anderson. And that wasn't me. So, yeah, there are a lot of them out there. Just before that, someone talking about, I guess me, said he worked in the broadcast sector primarily in TV stations. That's true. I have done a lot of that. I recall one of his videos mentioned what he does for a living, but I forgot. Someone says he's a manager at Johnson Controls. People call him Greg. Okay, that one of the other guys. Pro Stock Drag Racer. I've heard of that guy. Someone shared a link to my YouTube channel. Someone says he goes a little overboard with having multiple models of the same watch, but overall, pretty good. All right, that's fair. That's fair. He used to be the singer for the band Yes. Well, not really. Someone has a reference to The Matrix, Mr. Anderson, I guess. Yeah, other people wondering if I was related to the guys in the band Yes. The answer is no. So, imagine the nice guy who mixes paint at your local Ace Hardware doing bi-weekly YouTube videos about Casio watches. I like him. No ego, no pretension, just a decent guy who likes talking Casio watches. It's comfort food for budget-conscious watch fans. I appreciate that perspective. If that's exactly what I am, I'll take it. Guitarist for Sun O. You should refer to him by his full name, Greg Anderson of The Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. He seems like a genuinely nice guy. He mentioned in one of his videos that he was a missionary several years ago. I'm pretty sure he has an account here. Some of the very specific topics that get discussed here often wind up on his videos very soon afterwards. So, you know, I know there's some people that get a little bit bothered by the introduction to my videos where I say, my name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. That's kind of an ongoing joke. I remember hearing Jay Leno talking about, he was the host of The Tonight Show. It was the Tonight Show starring Jay Leno, and I guess his mother made an issue out of that. You know, it seemed like that was kind of arrogant. So they changed it. They changed the name of the show officially to The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And then right now, it's, I believe the official name of The Tonight Show is The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, which is just so funny because it's like, does anyone not know who the host of The Tonight Show is? You have to include his name in the title of the show? Locally here in Salt Lake City several years ago, I worked on a show, and the name of the host of the show was part of the show's name. And I just thought that was funny. As though someone's going to steal the idea, you know, and come up with, you know, the Good Timekeeping Show with, you know, Donny Osmond. Like, if he's, is he going to steal my idea and do that? I don't think so. So it's kind of a joke. I guess some people find it annoying. All right, mentioned I was a missionary. Yes, back in the 1980s, I was in Bolivia for 2 years. As far as, I'm sure he has an account here. I don't have an account on the WatchUSeek forums. I should explain that. Okay, so when I was a teenager and also in college, I worked as a projectionist at local movie theaters, so these multiplex theaters. So I would run the big projectors that had 35 millimeter and even 70 millimeter film and the big sound systems and all that. And so I was very interested in that. Big systems, mechanical, you know, the film that kind of goes from way over here on these big platters and comes across the room to the projector and then back out there. And I loved that kind of hands-on mechanical tactile experience of working with the films and showing movies to people. You kind of, when you're a projectionist, you kind of almost feel like you have a hand in making the movie because you have something that you're the one ultimately sharing this movie with the audience. There's just this rush in your mind about, I know, hey, look, I've got this great movie. I can't wait to show it to you. So I had a lot of fun with that. Again, high school, college. I really didn't do it almost. Maybe just a couple of times after college that I ran projectors once or twice. But I was always interested in the technology, especially in the late 90s when some of the new digital sound technology, some of that was coming in. So I joined an online forum for primarily movie theater projectionists, just so I could kind of keep up to date on the technology that was coming into the theatrical exhibition business at that time. The forum was, you know, a lot of technical stuff, but also kind of just some social media type stuff. And I was involved with that for about almost 10 years. And in the end, it got kind of, the atmosphere was not as friendly as it was at the beginning. And so eventually I had to just kind of say, you know what, I've had enough of this, I'm out of there. And then I did the dumb thing of joining Facebook. But Facebook was full of people that I actually knew that had met in person as friends of mine. You can say what Facebook is today, but there are still, apparently, there's still a way that I can actually connect with people that I actually knew from my past through Facebook. Anyway, the online experience with the projectionist forum kind of made me think that I'm going to be very hesitant to join any kind of online community. But as I say that, I should say that what I've seen on the WatchUSeek forums, when I've looked at the Casio stuff on there, for the most part, people are very friendly and helpful to each other. On YouTube, the feedback I get from viewers, the comments I get, genuinely friendly, generally helpful, friendly, kind interactions, and I've appreciated that. Occasionally you get people that, you know, have kind of an axe to grind and don't like me for some reason, and I try to just deal with that. I did some videos a few years ago talking primarily about solar panels, and I found that, and this was when I had barely made any watch videos. I was talking about electronics and solar panels and camera gear and audio gear and stuff like that. And some of the comments I was getting on the solar panel videos were quite unpleasant. I don't know what it was. People just got really, it was just unfriendly talking about solar panels. Some people thinking that, you know, the whole solar power thing is a scam and you're wasting your money. And I thought, you don't need to worry about my money. You can say all you want about how I got ripped off putting solar panels on my house, but I actually made a lot of money from YouTube making videos about those solar panels. So you don't need to worry about how much the solar panels cost for me. I didn't get into it because of YouTube or thinking if I make solar panel videos, YouTube's going to pay me a lot of money. But it just happened. And so in a way, if I hadn't made those solar panel videos, I wouldn't have had the momentum to make all these watch videos that I make. And it was very refreshing when I started making watch videos that the people that were commenting and interacting with me over the subject of watches and clocks and timekeeping were so much more pleasant and kind than anyone else that had interacted with my videos. So I've really appreciated the interaction of the watch and clock and timekeeping community So I want to make that clear, while at the same time saying I'm still reluctant to join a forum, and I don't want anyone to think I would join this forum so that I could be like, you know, Mr. Authority, like, you listen to me, I'll tell you about Casio watches, I know everything. I don't feel that way about myself, and I don't want anyone to think that's why I would go participate in one of these forums. And I kind of don't want people to come to me thinking they can ask me everything about Casio and I'll know the answer, because I don't really think I will. I know a lot about my watches, but if there's some other watch that I don't have that happens to be a Casio or a G-Shock or Oceanus, or, you know, so I don't want to kind of put myself in that position. I don't have the confidence that I'd be great at that, but I do appreciate going to the forums every, a couple times a month, see what's going on, and see if that'll give me some ideas for a watch I want to buy, or a video I want to make, or a modification I want to try. So anyway, it's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's just that right now, what I'm doing with YouTube and the interaction I get from viewers of my YouTube channel is a comfortable place for me. It's right now, this is how I want to interact with people that I don't personally know, but we want to talk about a common interest. This is working well for me. That's why I'm just going to stay here for now and maybe not go to the forums. Is that okay? No, all right. Somebody says, he's pretty much the coolest Mormon on the planet. Which is funny because the next post was a reaction of Donny Osmond looking flabbergasted or in shock that someone would say that about me. Which is funny because, if you had asked me before I saw any of this, who I think the coolest Mormon on the planet is, I honestly would have not hesitated 1 second to say, Donny Osmond, of course. It is true. Donny Osmond and I are members of the same church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I grew up in the church, in the religion. My parents were members before I was born. Donny Osmond, same situation. I didn't have as many brothers as Donny Osmond, but the funny thing is I've admired Donny Osmond for a long time. And if you're not as old as I am or older, you might not remember just how big a deal the Osmonds were at their peak. I mean, I know we're talking 50 years ago, in the 1970s. They were huge, and they deserved to be huge. They were, Donny Osmond was a bigger star than Michael Jackson. And the Osmonds and the Jacksons were kind of rivals, but they also were kind of friends, So it's just, I've looked at the Osmonds, and if you go back and listen to the old records, they are every bit a legitimate pop music sensation. Great songs, great showmanship, great performers, hardworking people, super talented, and in addition, lived good, clean living by the Osmonds. They are members of a church that they adhere to high standards, not in your face about it, not I'm better than you. It's just that this is how we want to live our lives. These are the standards we want to adhere to, even in the entertainment business, which is full of temptations and distractions. The Osmonds have maintained just a really great lifestyle. They do not disappoint me as a member of the same church, that, oh, I've got this famous person out there. No, they do not disappoint. And Donny Osmond, top of the list there. I've never met Donny Osmond. It's funny because when he was a child, he actually, his family lived in a house which is next door to where my brother-in-law lives right now. It's just across the valley over there from where I live right now, the old Osmond house. So it's like I've kind of run into people that knew the Osmonds, but I've never really known them. I did a project years ago and we interviewed Alan Osmond, and he was, of course, fantastic. He's got his own struggles and trials, as we all do. But again, within all of that, has maintained the high standards that make me, it just warms my heart to know that someone can be super famous, and still, you know, be a man of faith. So that was my experience talking with Alan Osmond for, you know, about an hour one day to do this project. I know people who met the Osmonds, but I can't say that I have. I actually saw Donny Osmond once in Provo at a place, and I didn't have the nerve to go talk to him and tell him how much I admire him. But I go on and on about Donny Osmond. Go check out some of their stuff. I mean, the worst thing you can say about Donny Osmond is that when he was still a teenager, he and his sister were hosts of a nationally televised comedy variety TV show, and it was cheesy. And that's the worst thing you could say about Donny Osmond. But also, anyone else who was on TV in the 1970s was on a cheesy TV show. I mean, it was inescapable if you were a celebrity in the 1970s. So, you know, if that's the worst thing anyone could ever say about me is I was on a cheesy TV show, you know, I would be fortunate. And so, again, my vote goes to Donny Osmond, greatest Mormon celebrity, a Latter-day Saint, who does not disappoint. All right, so someone says, this is back to me. He has a video where he was at some trade show where G-Shock had a booth, and they politely received him. I don't know how big a blip he is on their radar, considering the ocean of Casio-related YouTube content, even if he is the cream of the crop. Oh, thank you for saying that I am cream of the crop. Again, just trying to tell you what I would have wanted to know. I'm sure he's browsed our forum. He sometimes talks about things like the 3240 module countdown timer mod, other stuff he had to learn somewhere. But the signal-to-noise ratio in this joint is... It strikes me as a person who doesn't need the noise. He has better things to do. You know, no insult to. I know signal-to-noise ratio is part of being in an online community. And then someone says, I've enjoyed watching a vid or two, no complaints. Okay, so anyway, that was just a discussion that lasted just a day or two, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the attention and the back and forth, and I hope I've explained myself well enough here as to, again, my position on online forums and my admiration for what happens on online forums, and even though I got a lot going on, and so I don't always get to go there. You know, as for, okay, the question of what is my regular job, I worked in broadcasting after college. I worked at a small radio station in Utah, and it was really small and not very rewarding. So then I worked on movie crews for several years. When they were making the show Touched by an Angel, it was filmed primarily within 50 miles of downtown Salt Lake City. Because you can go from Salt Lake City, that was where the offices were, the headquarters of the show. Within an hour's drive, you could be up in the mountains, you could be out in the desert, you could be in suburbs, you could be some places in Salt Lake City that looked like, you know, just a downtown of any major city in the world. And the art department at Touched by an Angel could make anything. And so Utah was the stand-in for anywhere in the world with that crew, first-rate crew, and I enjoyed working on that crew. And so I did that for a long time. In fact, there are some scenes in the show, if you watch carefully, you know, it's in syndication now. You might even see me, a few years younger than I am today, actually on the show. Never had any dialogue, but I primarily worked behind the scenes. But every now and then, I have to get out there and you could see me on the show. Then I worked making videos for other businesses. I worked for a guy who did that for a while. I've worked on documentaries for different broadcast stations around Utah. And for about the last 5 years, I've worked for the NBC station in Salt Lake City, where I am a TV news photographer. So some would say videographer. I don't know, the term videographer doesn't appeal to me. It makes it sound like just some made up thing. before I was in TV news, like when I was in college, people talked about TV news photographers were always called photographers. They didn't use the term videographer. So there's something to me a little more noble about the term photographer. Everything I do with video cameras for the news, it's the principles of photography, plus a lot more. Because today, you know, I'm not only the photographer who has to do everything on the camera that is necessary, plus audio, which that can be a trick. You don't always have the best circumstances, and you don't always have the best, the most amount of time to work with the audio even after you've recorded it, you know, put in the computer. You can do a lot with computers these days to make audio better. But in TV news, you don't always have time to do that. So you know, you have to do everything, sometimes fast and sloppy, having to do with photography and recording the audio. And then a lot of times I'll be editing, and the editing situation as a current day TV news photographer is not ideal most of the time. I might be sitting in the driver's seat of a car in the middle of nowhere with a laptop computer, cranking out an edit as fast as I can so I can send that in and put it on the air. And you know, it's when you go back and you see someone who has an editing suite and they have a big computer, lots of monitors and air conditioning and this comfortable chair and the optimal conditions for editing, and I'm sitting in a car with my legs all cramped up against the steering wheel, you know, trying to edit. You know, I feel a little picked on sometimes. But the nice thing about broadcasting is that it's over quick, right? I used to say broadcasting was like shaving, which is some people don't really say anything unless they think you made a mistake. And no matter how well you do it, no matter how the thing you did today was so great, it's all, you have to do it again tomorrow. It's something completely new, different, and you know, you do get to occasionally look over your best work after, you know, a period of evaluation and kind of pick out, hey, I did this well, or that was just another day at the office, just, you know, just generic, not a special story. But it does give you, I'll tell you what, if you're thinking about going, you know, you want to make movies or something like that, you should get some experience in television, because what you do in TV and movies, as far as the technological side of it, is very similar. One thing that television helps you to do is make decisions quickly, and gain some confidence on your ability to make decisions and stick with them. Sometimes in the film world, you have too much time and you're not very good at just making a decision and being confident and moving on. So find a good balance there if that's what you're interested in doing. And I've considered, you know, there's a lot of interesting equipment that I get to use for live TV news production, especially out in the field. So I've considered making some videos every now and then about that topic, just to see if anyone's curious about it, whether it's videos for fellow photographers who might work in TV news around the country or around the world, or maybe someone that's just interested in how do they do this, what's happening behind the scenes. I might make some of those videos. One thing that I've done just this year that I wasn't doing before, they've trained me on running the camera equipment inside the news helicopter that our station uses. So that's new, that's different. We're the only station in the Salt Lake City area that has, you know, kind of its own dedicated news helicopter that they fly almost every day. And so we have various members of our photography team that are trained in running the camera gear inside that helicopter, which could be stuff that is recorded and played back later, could be stuff that's taken live on the air as you know, breaking news is happening. We have a pilot who actually flies the helicopter, and then in coordination with that pilot, someone who's just running the video gear, the camera gear in the helicopter. And it's interesting. It's interesting, and you know, gotta make sure you don't get too much motion sickness, because you're dealing with the controls for the camera stuff you're looking into monitors, and the helicopter itself might be moving in a different direction than your head is moving, looking at monitors, and that can be, that can, you know, get you a little nauseated if you're not careful. But yeah, it's a rewarding job. Before I worked at this TV station, I was a little more hit and miss with my jobs, going from one job to the other, one project to another, and so it's been good, especially in today's world, economically speaking. It's good to have something that's a more steady job, a little more stable schedule, a little more consistent paycheck, and we're working through some things to make it so that you don't have to worry about my finances. I'm doing okay, even if I do have a whole bunch of watches. I need to make a video about this one. All right, enough for now. I usually don't make videos about me, so I appreciate the interest, but I might just go back to not talking about me and instead talking about stuff. But that's it. That's my answer to the question of who is this Greg Anderson that maybe I'm the one they're talking about. And with that, thanks again. I feel like I'm in a part of a really friendly community, and I appreciate that. It makes it very rewarding to make these videos, to share what I know, and hope that it helps you out. And I'll keep at it. And with that, I hope you'll join me again soon for another episode of the Good Timekeeping Show.